was trying to convince him not to record the session, but apparently no way. So I'm going to go ahead and start, okay? Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome. My name is Leah Diaz, and I will be here working with you tonight, especially to address questions in regards to the international students. So why don't we just, given that we are a very cozy group, why don't we go around and introduce yourselves and tell us which program you're in, when you arrived here, and what your concentration is. So let's start with you. In what? You got it. Okay. Yeah. And I'm currently volunteering at Thank you. Welcome. Hi. Hello, hello, welcome. Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome. Mm-hmm. The advanced certificate. Yes, welcome, welcome. Okay, so the session tonight is supposed to be a very informal one, and the intention here is really to address some questions that you may still have pending, in particular to your status or to your situation as an international student, if I can help out with any of the barriers that you are encountering. And the idea is that perhaps, your questions or your challenges may be also applicable to other students as well. So the idea is for us to try to answer those questions and help as many of you as we possibly can, and also to give you a chance to get to know one another, perhaps some arrangements can come out of that. I've seen many roommates find one another in sessions like this, and that's the hope. So why don't we go around and ask some of those questions? They are really either, you know, some things that you need help with, or that you were not very clear on in terms of the program, or, you know, becoming a New Yorker. Anybody wants to start? Yes, please. Sure. Okay. So I believe all of you are here. Don't really know your situation, but for the rest of you, you are here as F1 students, correct? So the F1 status is primarily a status for study abroad. For you are here to get your degree, your master's degree, or your DPH degree. So that is your primary role here in the U.S. And for as long as you keep that status current and you fulfill all of the requirements for your status, then you are given some benefits. And one of the benefits is to work. There are many restrictions as to the type of work you can do, where you can work, how many hours, etc. You can work on campus as a student, and by on campus, that is actually not limited to the SPH campus. You were considered to be working on campus if you work for any of the Cuny campuses, and we have 23 plus campuses within the Cuny system. So you'll have a very large umbrella that you can tap into. So that, I hope, is very good news. It's just 1 second. And what also happens is, in order to work, to be considered working on campus, you'll have to work up to 20 hours per week. When school is in session, you can work more than that. If the school is not in session, if we are in the summer break, spring break, winter break, you can do that. But for a regular semester, whenever there is class, there is a school, it's the regular period of the semester, then you can work on campus up to 20 hours per week. Outside of that, you were also permitted to work on or off campus if you were doing a CPT, which is a curricular practical training. That is something that is required by your curriculum. So if you are required to do a field work, internship, some kind of volunteer work that is included in your curriculum, then you would engage in a CPT, and that could be on campus or off campus. And you can also engage in some kind of work activity through the OPT, which is the optional practical training, and that could also be on campus or off campus, but that needs authorization. You need to be working in your program for at least 1 year. It has to be in your field of work, of study, and so forth. So the important thing for you guys to understand here today and to live with it is that you have to talk to me or to a DSO before you engage in any kind of work activity, even if it's just a volunteer work, if it's unpaid work, none of that matters. Anything that is outside of studying, you have to check in with us because you may need to get authorization for that, and you want to make sure that you fulfill all of the requirements so you don't run into any trouble. You had a question. That is not exactly the case. So maybe there was some misunderstanding, some confusion happening. The Graduate Center is very particular in that it houses the vast majority of doctoral students within the Cuny system. So it's really the hub for doctoral degrees within the Cuny system. And so the majority of students there, they are very particular in that they come already with the job assignments, they come already employed. So maybe there was some confusion as to the role of GC versus international students, F1 students pertaining to public health. The GC is part of the Cuny system, and therefore it's considered to be just like any other campus. It's especially hard to get a job there because it houses all of the doctoral, not all, but the vast majority of doctoral students, they come already with work assignments. They have plenty of international students who come already employed by their own institutions. So it's very, very possible that they just have no positions for any international student outside of their own institution, but that is not because you were not eligible. It may be because they already gave away all of the work spots that they had for their own students. So that could be the possibility. Just one portion of your answer, of your question that I didn't answer. Let's see here. I wanted to go to our website to show the places where you guys can go to look for some on campus. Oh, there you go. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so there are two places that you want to keep your eye on when you have the idea of pursuing some kind of job in here. If you come to Student Services under Employment Resources, you will see here that we have a space for internships, fellowships, and scholarships. At times, you will get there and you will see very generic recommendations here, that we don't have anything that is particular to the Cuny SPH, which is the case right now. Same thing if you do the fellowship, and similar thing with the scholarship. This is a time that we are transitioning from summertime into fall, and this is a very low time for employment here. Once the fall begins, all the projects are going to get started, faculty are coming back, all the research is going to restart. That's when things really pick up. So I recommend that you guys come back to the website and that you start to engage with your professors to find out if there is any research, any upcoming projects they are starting in the fall. I have a very good relationship with the faculty members because sometimes they may let you know of something that is coming up even before you reach the site. You are already aware of it. and perhaps that may increase your chances of getting some position even before it gets announced. That's one thing. Another thing for you guys to keep in mind is if you also come to Student Services and it's under the Office of Financial Aid, you will find scholarships and assistantships. That is another place that you want to come in to see if there is anything available to you, something that you're eligible for. That is another place for you to look at also. So I just want to go back. Did I answer your question fully now? Not convinced? So the way that it usually works is that you have faculty members that are very involved with research, right? So they have projects. Here we also have institutes. So institutes are just generating research all the time, and faculty are doing work in order to produce literature, to publish articles, etc. So they need somebody to help them do some of the legwork, to either compute data, to collect some kind of information, to sift through information, to survey. So they need help in getting the work done because there is never enough time. And usually when they submit grants, they already take into account that they are going to need somebody to help them. And oftentimes it's more than just one person that is included in the budget for a project. So that's how it usually happens. And then they make announcements. At times they just reach out to students who they know, students who they have worked with before, or just students who seem to be interested in the subject that they are working with, or, students who just seem to be very much up to speed and who seem to be a good fit for the project. So sometimes they just reach out to students directly to offer the position. Sometimes they just publish it on our website, or you may find the information elsewhere in Student Lounge. You may have seen already that we have screens throughout the schools, and we have information going up there. So sometimes we publish positions there as well. So that's how usually these positions come about. And for beginners or for students who are just starting work on campus is what is permitted to do at this time, given your program. Other programs may have a different setup in allowing students to engage in OPT or CPT early on, but for the majority of our programs here, for the time being, on-campus work, part-time work is what you are permitted to do at this time. Any other questions? No. So, like what I was trying to convey here was that you have to fulfill your eligibility. So it's not just because it's here that it means you can apply for and you can go ahead and get the job. Not the case, especially for international students. You guys have to fulfill the requirements that regulate your status. And CPT and OPT will happen for you that you can take an on or off campus, that could be full-time even, much later on in the program. For the first year that you were here, because of the way that your program is designed and because of the status, the non-immigrant status that you have, for the first year, if you are interested in working at all, you would have to be part-time and you would have to be on campus. So if these positions were not on campus, and by on campus, again, I mean at any campus throughout the Cuny system, if they are not on campus and if they are more than 20 hours per week, then you were not eligible to engage in those activities. Not for you, not at this time. There will come a time, for instance, so that you are going to be required to do a field work or internship. At that moment, what happens is you are going to have to request a form. Actually, the form is already available online. You'll have to submit that to either the chair of your department or your academic advisor. They have to sign it, they will submit it to me, and then I'm going to revise it and submit it, pass it along. You'll have to get approval in order to do that. We need to register the employer on CVIS and keep a very close track of what you're doing, what is exactly the kind of work. It has to be in your field of study. It has to be directly related to what you are here, what you're studying for. But that, again, will happen later on. Same thing, even if it's not, if it's an optional training that you want to undertake, it will have to be a year. Will have to have passed already since you started in the program, and you'll have to submit. You'll have to have a job offer, an official job offer, and we are going to have the place of work needs to be an e-verifier, which means that they have to be part of the government database in which they can report that you were working, and we have to also report how many hours you were working and so forth. But for the time being, for the first year of study here, it can only be for you on campus part-time. And if you have any questions, we can talk and decide whether or not you were eligible for. But do not engage in any work activity, paid or unpaid, even volunteer work, without talking to me first, so that we are sure that you are doing something that is okay by the regulations. So you were not an F1 student, are you? Right, you were not. But for the rest of you, you were permitted to take up to 3 credits of online instruction per semester, besides for your last semester, depending if that's your last class, it cannot be online. But for the other semesters, you can take up to 1 class, which for us is 3 credits of online coursework. Right, because even though you were an international student, but you were not here as an international non-immigrant F1 or J1 students. So these regulations does not apply to you. Yes, indeed, your program, which is the Advanced Certificate in Public Health, that is to be taken or can be taken entirely online. That's correct. So you can enroll in 4 classes, 5 classes, all 5 online at once. We're not really in. For the F1 students, for the rest of you, you'll have to register for 12 credits each semester.
I just wanted to know, like, because it's online, it's pretty much downloaded every day. I mean, like, I can just take it any day.
So online classes, they are structured differently depending on the instructor. Just like sometimes even in-person classes, you'll take the same class with 2 different professors, and even though they cover the same subject, but the way that they deliver it can be very different from one another. But our online classes, they are supposed that there is not like one set day and time that you guys meet every week. There could be a quiz that happens, at a certain day, at a certain time. There will be deadlines for assignments, so you'll have to submit these projects or this paper by, midnight of, the 30th of, September. So you will have those deadlines, or that you'll have to submit a posting in the online discussion board every week. But you were not necessarily meeting every week at a given time online. No, it's kind of, it develops kind of on your. You check in as often your own pace in a way, but you have to again comply with the deadlines. They are set up within the course as it's being designed. Yeah. Yes. So he has dependents here. They would be on F2 status. And yes, if she needs, because you were the primary holder of the account, and you report to, in a way, it's for lack of a better term, you report to us because we are responsible for overseeing your activities and to make sure that you comply with the regulations under your status. So yes, if she is to work, to engage in any kind of activity, if she's going to be studying, whatever happens with her, you'll have to come and talk to us to make sure that things are okay, that she's doing things that an F2 dependent can do. She will have more flexibility in terms of work than you do because you are here to study. She's here accompanying you, so she has more flexibility there. But yes, you'll have to report to us because we are the agency overseeing your status and your dependence. No. Can you repeat that, please? So, yeah, she could change her status, but she would have to apply, and there is an application process, and there is also a time frame involved there. And depending on what the situation is, she may engage in work activities before the adjudication is done, before a decision is made by USCIS, or it could be the case that she has to wait. So that's why, again, before she moves on in any direction, it's important to talk to us so that we can give some sort of advice. But yes, it's possible that she can change her status if she finds a full-time job and she wants to change to a H status. She can do that. Yes. Trevor's? Oh, driver's license. The answer is, it depends. It's never so clear cut, yes. So you have to submit to the DMV, which is the Department of Motor Vehicle, a series of documents, one of which is the Social Security number or the card or a denial of authorization. You would have to submit that paperwork to the DMV. But usually Social Security numbers are given to individuals who have an income, who are working. So right now you are not working. So you don't have a Social Security number. Therefore, you wouldn't have the complete paperwork to submit to the DMV. Right, so academic advisors are, they are assigned to you guys in the beginning of the fall semester. If you have any academic question, then you should direct that to the chair of your department. Or depending on what it is, I'm happy to help. I work also within the registrar's office. So there are a few things that I can answer, that I can help you out. When it comes really to academic choices and selection of the more advanced classes, that may be more relevant for you to talk to your department. At this time, your point person is the chair of the department. In just a couple of weeks, when you get assigned an academic advisor, that will become your point person. Yep. For your department, she would be the one. With that said, she is abroad. So again, depending on the matter, she would be the person. If not, talk to me, and I can identify somebody else who can best help you. Yep. Good. Did you guys get your ID yet? Okay, so IDs are already being processed and then given out from 4 to 8 p.m. throughout this week. So I encourage you guys to get your ID while it's today seems to be quiet around here. So perhaps you want to stop by. If you go and you ask, it's going to be on the 8th floor, I believe, but you should check with the security to the safety colleagues, and they will inform you the room that you should go to. But perhaps it may be a good idea to do it today. Yeah.
Do we need to get a separate ID card in order to use like the library?
No, it's all in one card. So in that card, you will there will be a picture that you will take. There will be your ample ID, which is very important for you guys to know, to memorize, to save it in your phone, because you need to supply us that ample ID or Cuny First ID every time you email or you speak with a faculty or a staff member, so that we can identify you in the system. So there will be a picture, There will be your Ample ID, your Cuny First ID. There will be also a barcode on it, and that's what you use to access the library resources.
In order to use the library at maybe Graduate Center or the Borough College of Manhattan, like anywhere, or maybe some additional resources such as the wellness resources or maybe gymnasium, can we use this ID or?
Yes, yes. So that ID should give you access to the CUNY resources. Yes, yes.
And accessibility is similar for all the students?
Library resources, I must say. With that ID doesn't mean that you can go to another campus and use their facilities necessarily. It doesn't mean that you can go to Borough College and use their gym, or go to Brooklyn College and use their pool. Doesn't extend to that. Also, one thing that you should know is that the New York Public Library system, it's very good and comprehensive. And even if the branch near where you are doesn't have a book, but if the book exists in the system, you can borrow it. You put in a request, and then they take the book from wherever the book is, and they bring it to your branch, free of charge. So you put in the request, and then when the book arrives, you can go there and take the book and use the book, and then you return, and the book will travel back to wherever it has to go. But it's very resourceful. So we don't have a physical library here. Our library exists mostly online, but we do have a cooperation agreement with the City College, which is just down the road, literally, and we can access their physical facility. So you can actually go to their library with your card and sit there and take books and all of that. Yeah, I don't know the address exactly, but it's part also of CUNY, and you just Google City College and you would, but it's yes, it's just.
$137.
137. They have a few buildings, so you should. Any other questions? Oh, it was about, thank you. You know, I was looking at you and I'm like, what was the question that I wanted to share with all of you? And so one thing for you guys to keep in mind is the beginning of the term. So as you may already know, hopefully, the semester begins on August 25th. And if you look at the calendar, August 25th falls on a Friday, and we don't have classes on a Friday. And, you know, sometimes the students, they think, oh, well, but my classes don't start until Tuesday. It may very well be that classes don't begin until Tuesday, but the things happen by the calendar with the college, with the beginning of the term. So on the 25th, if you were to add classes, you would pay a late add fee. If you drop classes, you already have a financial liability, which means that you don't get all of your money back. You only get a portion, and as time advances, you get less and less back. So many things are triggered by the beginning, the official beginning of the term, even though it may not coincide with the first day of classes for you. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And again, as a reminder, all of you need to be enrolled in 12 credits. So let's just make sure to get that. So I'm not the best person to answer that question. I would refer you to the Bursa or the Bursa's portion of the website. But you can pay through wire transfer. You can also engage into a payment plan that is available to you depending on when you sign up for it. But let me show you where you can go. So this is our main website. If you come to Student Services, right here you find the Bursa's office. And here you find tuition and fee information, payment deadlines, and payment options. So here is a little bit of what you need to know. And you can do it through money order and also personal checks that get sent by mail. So I recommend that you take a look in here. We do not accept cash, so we don't deal with cash at all. So just check the website, or you can stop by at the Bursa's booth if it's within business hours. Hi. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? No, not necessarily. We actually, following me, there will be a session in regards to registration. So all of registration questions can be addressed then if they were not addressed before. But just before I close the session for the FNQ for the international students, just a reminder of the 12 credits, reminding you that the semester begins on Friday. After you enroll full-time, a stop is put on your account, and that is to prevent you from dropping from classes, because once you reach the 12 credits, we want to maintain those 12 credit registrations. So a stop is put in there so that you cannot drop. If you need to make any changes to your enrollment after that point, then you need to come and talk to me. If you need to swap classes or things of that sort. And for any question that you have in regards to your status, feel free to reach out to me. I actually have some cards with me, some business cards that I'm happy to hand out. But you can also find me on our website. Let me show you where. Again, most of the things we are going to be addressing here this week, you can find on the student service. If you come to the student service team, you will find me right here. So that's me. That's an easy way to find me. And I will be here if you have any other questions that you didn't think of before, and I'm happy to address that. Okay, thank you, everyone. I myself have found this link today. I thought was really, really wonderful. So let me show you. Under student services, so it's sph.cuny.edu. Under student services, you'll see a link that says FAQ for current students. I mean, though you are incoming students, it's applicable to all. So one of the questions here, who is my department head? And it actually lists the names of the chairs of each of the departments. So that would be through Blackboard. That's, I believe, from my understanding, the textbook information is also available on the library website. Let's see. Academic resources. So CUNY. Okay, yeah, so the online bookstore. Yeah, it's under academics resources. So SPH, academics resources, and then it would have the library and the textbook information right there. It's also going to, once you register for the courses, it's also available to the library.
Is there a limit for the students that are going to take online classes? Is there a limit for how many students can take them?
Per section, yes, there is a limit. 35 passing per section in person. And then also what the room can accommodate. Big room like this, you know, smaller rooms with a regular class. They have
But if you come online, So the way you confirm if you're registered or not is look at your my schedule. When you log on to the system, it will show you your schedule of classes for fall semester. If you are not officially registered for the course, there will nothing that will show up. And if you're registered, right, it will show up right there. And CUNY First is the official record system. Blackboard is a subsidiary system that is used in order to keep the course in a group type of a session, you know, from the faculty's perspective to the student's perspective. So if you don't see it on Blackboard, it's okay, you don't see it now, but you must see it in CUNY First.
Yeah, how in the process of registration and not process of it's not one confirming all the PA classes or online courses.
If it's online, it will say online.
So if I want to register for like on-campus course, let's say PA, I can
I'm not gonna say yes or no to that question because it depends on what the course of the session is. So I'm not gonna log into CUNY First, however, I'm just gonna do a class search with you. This is the CUNY Global Class Search. And when we look here, so let's say Bio 610. You see, it says TBA for date and time, but it says online for the rooms. You have to look at what it says in the room section, okay? If you look at chat 610, see it says TBA, then online, then time. Very rarely would you have a course in a section that will say TBA for time. That's not an online section, but don't always go based on that. Always go to the course. Yes, these two courses are. Okay, so
Same class is not free.
this is